The hard truth of personal growth. Defining personal growth is the first step we'll take together in this week's blog post. This definition is our own subjective one, based on the direct experience of our own journey of awakening, shift, transition, and growth. Everything in this post has been directly experienced by Trace and I between 2012 and today. Let's go right to the beginning, as our dear friend Victor Aquaro always says. There's a big picture as well as a little picture, an inner world inside us as well as an outer world outside us. Inner hustle and outer hustle. The hard truth of personal growth involves a deep dive into the abyss of the known as well as the unknown. So let's explore the depths of the realm of change as we shine the light of awareness inside ourselves and see what we discover. Personal growth in the big picture is becoming aware of our fears and outgrowing them. In finding our fear, we come to know ourselves, thus understanding what's been holding us back all this time. Interacting with our fear once discovered is the inner hustle, the internal work that allows us to grow into and flex a purer form of our potential, a more loving, less fearing being, utilizing a higher vibration of probability. Personal growth in the little picture is derived from the big picture shift. Once we start outgrowing our fear, the results start to show up everywhere in our lives. As we invest in the inner hustle, the outer hustle begins its manifestation. In the little picture, personal growth is the resetting of our sails towards our dreams and aspirations as the evolved being we're becoming through the big picture shift from fear to love. This is how change occurs in our lives and how we turn it all around from wherever we are. But hold on a minute. The truth is, this process usually acts like a wrecking ball to our ego. So why then is personal growth important? Becoming aware of our fears and outgrowing them results in reduced fear-based choices, increased love-based choices, acceptance of self and others, non-judgmental attitude, self-awareness, authenticity, empathy, shifting from IQ to EQ, and courageous action. Imagine for a moment the impact the above list would have on your life 6 months from now. Such attributes manifest abundance naturally by creating an environment around us based on cooperation instead of competition. Doors will open to the repeated knocks of opportunity because everybody loves to help a person who accepts them as they are, doesn't judge them, lives authentically, shows empathy, and owns the space they occupy moment to moment courageously. Is this making sense? Okay, here are some questions to put this all into perspective. Are our choices fear-based? Is it always about you or others? Are we accepting of ourselves and others? Are we judgmental of ourselves and others? Are we aware of our fears? Are we even able to answer these questions honestly? Are we acting out of character, or do we live our lives as ourselves? Are we able to share and deeply understand the feelings of another? Are we able to up our game from an intellectual level to an emotional level? Do we have the spine to walk the path we cut ourselves through our own direct experience? Personal growth is important because in the big picture, we evolve from fear-based beings imprisoned by our own ignorance to love-based beings set free from our fear. In the little picture, this translates to deeper relationships with everyone who interacts with us. A clarification of our purpose results in us getting back on point with our mission through a deep dive to our own awakening point. Some people may see such a process as what a successful life may look like. So here are 4 areas of personal growth. 1 is purpose. 2 is relationships. 3, network. 4, earning a living. Purpose. Our purpose in this virtual reality simulator is to outgrow our fears and become love. Tom Campbell's work explores and presents this in depth and clarity. This blog is but a ripple in the MBT pond. Awakening to our purpose is the ground on which we'll journey, and this is where it all begins. Personal growth is about being, not about doing, and the deepest level of being is love. The actual growth process is shifting from fear to love. This shift is what we'll refer to as inner hustle. Relationships. Our relationships are the fertile ground in planting the seeds of personal growth. This is so because in relationships exist the most powerful tests and lessons in the countless expression of how we limit ourselves through our own fear. It's our own interaction with others that we take the most important strides in the shift from fear to love. These interactions are where we're tested to our limits and where we finally break through the me barrier of constraint and free ourselves from ourselves. Network. Our network is the cooperation we start to form with others. As we get ourselves out of our own way and start serving others from the heart with no strings attached, we find ourselves being served by those others. This is the environment of love-based choice instead of fear-based choice. Such a love-based environment produces growth through cooperation. It opens doors through unconditional love. People helping people for no other reason other than the choice to do so. Such an environment is the pinnacle of opportunity to grow, excel, move forward, and rise up to the peak of our own inner and outer Everest. Earning a living. We often wonder in futile hope why it's so difficult to earn a living, being who we really are and doing what we truly love. The hard truth of earning our living lies within the above 3 paragraphs of purpose, relationship, and network. Not the intellectual understanding of the words, but the emotional being of what they represent in our day-to-day reality. Make that shift with focused intent, and we'll become aware of our purpose to become loved by outgrowing our own fears. We'll begin to take note of our specific fears as they rise up in the interactions of our relationships. By choosing to outgrow our fears and shift to loving interactions with others, we'll begin to grow up and evolve. Others will notice our shift, evolution, and growth and will be attracted to us. As more and more people connect with us in this manner, our network will manifest abundance into our world. We'll begin to readjust the manner in which we earn our living. We won't be the same person who found themselves in a miserable position due to the limitation of our own fears. Instead, our dreams of owning our own business, going for that unthinkable promotion, starting our own website, writing our own book, or whatever else we secretly aspire to, will become our reality. Personal growth is not about believing in ourselves. It's about knowing ourselves through the above process, a process of being instead of doing, a process of feeling as much as thinking. Now here are 20 signs of personal growth. 1. Stress no longer completely overwhelms you. 2. You're not snapping at people close to you when you're having a hard time. 3. You're accepting of where others are at in their life's journey. 4. No longer expecting things to be easy. 5. No longer expecting others to think or act like you. 6. Feelings of happiness, contentment, and even joy start becoming the norm. 7. What you do is nowhere near as powerful as who you are. 8. Change happens when you're ready for it and not a second before. 9. You're loving people without expecting anything back. 10. When you find a new scratch on your car, you're not losing your shit over it. 11. Business, family, social, work, and personal time are no longer different planets. They're one and the same. 12. You no longer feel the urge to pretend. 13. You're okay with people talking shit about you. 14. Your dreams are starting to communicate messages to you and you're beginning to understand that message. 15. The material world is no longer the be-all and end-all of your existence. 16. You're cooperating more than competing. 17. You feel you're becoming freer to just be yourself. 18. You're cool with making mistakes. 19. You're open to everything but skeptical at the same time. 20. You're surrendering to and trusting your own intuition. Pain and growth. You're reading this because you're interested in your own evolution. You feel it's important that you're going down the right path. The fact you've even read down to this part shows your understanding of change and personal growth goes beyond the hilarious videos with the Lamborghini in the background parked in front of the mansion, or worse still, the private jet with the stairs folding down from the front cabin door. If that's what's driving you, I'm amazed you haven't fallen asleep during this blog. Our lives change when we change. Our lives grow when we grow. Doing is not the game. Being is where it's at. That's where it all happens, and abundance starts the very second our shift loses all conditions. In other words, you want to be rich? Be rich then, in how you treat everyone you interact with. The level of richness you'll achieve in your outer hustle will match precisely the level of richness you treat other people with in your inner hustle. You can't be externally rich whilst treating others with arrogance, contempt, and egotism unless you're a complete fake. The antithesis of personal growth often produces Lamborghinis, private jets, and mansions, but there's nobody home past an inch of depth when the surface is scratched. It takes spine to face your own fears and surrender to the truth. It hurts to accept ourselves when we've hurt others for so long. It's painful to expose ourselves without a mask, character, or role to play. To stand in front of the world as we really are, confident in all our embarrassing failure, manipulation, and anxiety. It's a monumental faceplant when we make a choice to no longer look out for number one. Such a weak, childish, immature, and spoilt little attitude is not easy to get up from or let go of. There is far worse we may go through when the time comes for our own growth. It's never easy, that's for sure, so ditching that expectation will make the entire process far more probable. The hard truth of personal growth exists in its persistence to endure any distraction we can throw at it. Rock stars commit suicide. Movie stars die of drug overdoses. Money and wealth accumulation are not the sole beneficiaries of human life. They don't occupy the top spot. They are part of a bigger picture that brings perspective to the human condition through the direct experience of overcoming such shiny temptations. Balanced being with everything in its place. Success in this life is a pitch that's as wide as it is deep. Those who spend all their days hanging shit on money, wealth, and the material are just as shallow as those who lose themselves in it. Everything in its place. This is the world we live in, and this is the test we must pass to grow. Fear is our greatest teacher, especially when it's our own. Love is what replaces fear as it shrinks inside us due to our inner hustle. If we're smart, we apply this to our outer hustle instead of running away from the world and living in a cave, wearing robes, with our eyes shut tightly away from all the noise while we chant free lunch, free lunch, free lunch. The noise is the only doorway to true peace, or else it's just as much an illusion as believing you're special because the rags you're wearing have someone else's name on them and cost more rectangles of paper or plastic than everybody else's. Everything in its place. We've defined personal growth, explored why it's important, listed 4 aspects of it, pointed out some of its signs, outlined the pain of it, and stated our hard subjective truth about it. It's really all very simple in our opinion. Are you able to smile when you're in a rush to get home? The traffic is horrendous. Your boss just launched a rocket up your butt, and the little old dude in his vintage car puts on his indicator and moves to push in right in front of you. What happens inside you at that split instant, along with the choices you make there, will expose you to your own hard truth about all this, because these are just our words on your screen. The reality of your own personal growth will happen inside of you. One day or day one, you choose.